Very warm welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me once again. My guest today is somebody who's coached Kenya. He did a fantastic job as the New Zealand head coach as well. He's done some work at the Kings 11 Punjab in the IPL as a head coach there. He's currently the director of cricket at RCB. And very recently, he's been appointed the head coach of PSL franchise Islamabad United. Very warm welcome to Mike Hesson.
Thank you. Looking forward to it, Saj.
Mike, let's start with Islamabad United. How did you end up with the job?
Look, the PSL is a tournament that I've taken good note the last few years. I've always watched, and I've enjoyed the style of cricket that's played. Albeit last year it was probably a little bit high scoring at times, but I've enjoyed the quality of domestic talent, and I've enjoyed the combination of how the overseas have come over and probably made a name for themselves. So the PSL is something I've always wanted to get involved in. It's been quite challenging when I was full time with Royal Challengers Bangalore in the director of cricket role. So that was sort of a 12-month role. So that made it really difficult to take on other roles. So now that's changed, it's actually created a really good opportunity. And I got a call from Ali Naqvi, the owner of Islamabad United, to see if I was interested in the role. And after a little bit of thinking, it didn't take too much, to be fair. We just started negotiations, and really looking forward to it.
You're a connoisseur of cricket. You're obviously somebody who's a keen student of the game. How do you think the PSL ranks alongside the likes of the IPL and other franchise tournaments?
Look, highly. As I said, I've watched it from afar, so I'll probably know more at the end of this year in terms of the depth of talent. I guess it's quite a condensed program, and there's more travel this year than there has been previously. So I guess squads are going to get challenged from a depth perspective, which they do in those longer tournaments that you've referred to. So look, the IPL is a high quality tournament, probably more from a batting perspective. I think the batting in the IPL is exceptional, and you get a variety of surfaces. So looking forward to seeing what surfaces we get this year in the PSL, so I can sort of compare that, that talent depth, probably more from a bowling perspective around how they can deal with, being able to deal with flat surfaces. And if we get on one or two that turn, the ability to adapt. So looking forward to seeing that.
So you mentioned bowling depth, Mike. Let's start with Naseem Shah, who's developing as a fantastic bowler for Pakistan, but has had his problems with injuries since he's come into the international fold. Is he on course to be fit for the tournament, and how highly do you rate him?
Look, he's on track, without doubt. I guess anyone that tries to bowl 150 kilometres an hour, there's always, a risk of injury. And often when you talk to those types of bowlers, that's why they play the game. They want to run in and bowl fast. And I've dealt with plenty over the years, Dale Steyn, Adam Milne, guys that have had a lot of injuries, but, they don't want to come back as a medium pacer. They want to come back and run in and bowl fast. And Naseem is no different. He wants to make an impact on this tournament. He was keen to make a shift from a franchise perspective, and understandably, there were a lot of teams that were interested in him. So it was a, really, elongated process to get that trade through. And obviously, Islamabad United were delighted to get a player of his talent. And the dealings that I've had with him since then, he's been thoroughly professional in terms of getting himself back on the park. And as I said, he wants to run in and bowl quick and get back to playing for Pakistan again.
Was part of the deal to bring Naseem Shah to Islamabad United, he had to sign his two brothers as well.
There seemed to be that sort of discussion, but no, not at all. And I think Naseem was a bit wary of that as well. He wants his brothers to tread their own path, but from our perspective, it was very much a cricket decision. Theim Shah was, from an emerging player's perspective, we felt he was the best prepared to step into a playing 11 if required. From a bowling point of view, and all his domestic performances in the national T20 suggested he was going really nicely, and someone who could be used in the middle and at the back end. And then, Imad Shah was a bonus, really. We never thought that he wouldn't get picked up. We thought that he'd get picked up in the emerging player draft. The fact he wasn't, and we had a slot towards the back end of the auction or the draft, sorry, we grabbed it. And yeah, there's a bit of humour around the fact we'd picked all three brothers, but they're all slightly different. And the fact that, you know, it's highly likely that two of them will be playing at you know, in many games for Islamabad United is an exciting opportunity.
You brought in Imad Wasim in place of Hasan Ali. What's the thinking behind that, Mike?
Look, we wanted, you know, our power play bowling had been a struggle in recent times, and obviously Nasim Shah was going to do a good job there. But Imad Wasim, I guess, player of the tournament, the ability to have another left-handed bat through the middle overs was really important to balance out, you know, our batting lineup, and a really experienced customer. So, you know, I guess with Nasim coming in, the need to have, you know, Hasan Ali and Muhammad Wasim Jr., you know, we didn't need all three. It would have been nice to have them, but we obviously had to try and balance out, you know, our attack, and I guess by potentially shifting our emerging player to being a you know, a bowler, you know, that changes the balance of our setup as well. So Imad fits in really nicely. He can bat anywhere in the middle as a left-hander. He can finish the innings out as a closer with some experience. And obviously we know how good he is with the ball in the power play. And if conditions suit, he can bowl through the middle as well.
Shadab Khan, Mike, is somebody who's probably at a crossroads in his, certainly in his international career, where his form has dipped with bat and ball. Probably needs an arm round the shoulder, a little bit of motivation, perhaps, from yourself.
Yeah, really looking forward to working with Shadab and have throughout this whole process as well. You know, really keen leader, highly respected by the players. You know, when you talk to him, you know, even though his performances might not have been as good as we know he's capable of, it certainly hasn't hindered his enthusiasm and his ability to captain the side incredibly well. So, look, really looking forward to seeing the best of Shadab. And, you know, he's just come back from an injury, working his way back to it. So I'm sure by the time the PSL comes, you know, he'll be a major contributor for us, you know, as you said, with both bat and ball. And there will be, you know, there need to be a few little tweaks here and there. And, you know, he's well aware of that and he's working hard behind the scenes too.
Azam Khan has a love-hate relationship with Pakistani cricket fans. So many of us want him to do well, and others are sort of questioning his commitment, especially to fitness, Mike. What do you make of Azam Khan, the cricketer?
Oh, I think he's a very fine cricketer, and he's a very fine cricketer in a role where there are very few people around the world who are good at. In terms of that, you know, power hitter through the middle. You know, if he gets himself set, he can control the innings as well. You know, it can attack spin and pace. You know, he's a special commodity, and we saw how well he performed in the PSL last year. And look, I get frustrated, I guess, with, you know, many players you work with around the world, is that not everybody looks the same, and not everybody, you know, not everybody has to have a six-pack and be incredibly athletic to be a fine cricketer. And some players, you know, focus their attention on skills, or people just have different body shapes as well. So I think for people to clone cricketers and think that they have to look a certain way, I prefer to judge players on performance and what they add around the team and how they can contribute to winning games for your team. And I know, having spent some time with Azam Khan, both at the draft and here in New Zealand, that he works incredibly hard at his game. He's gone through many different transitions in his young years in terms of what's important to him and what makes him work. So, you know, the conversations I'll be having with Azam will be around his role within Islamabad United, and how he can contribute, you know, to help us win games of cricket, and that'll be the priority. If there are things that conflict that, sure, there'll be discussions around that. But at the moment, I think we saw through his performance last year that he knows his game very well.
On paper, Islamabad United look a very formidable squad, Mike. You must be delighted with what you've got there at the moment, and you must see yourself, your team as amongst the favourites.
Look, I think there's six very good squads, but we were very happy at the end of the draft what we finished up with. No doubt about that. You know, we pretty much got most of the targets we were interested in. We do have a replacement draft in the coming days to finalise our squad, and there's a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done there. I guess with any squad, you want to have succession plans, or you need to have succession plans in case of injury. Such a condensed program, players can get niggles, and you do need to rest them at appropriate times. You do have ILT20 and other tournaments where players can come and go. So you've got to have contingencies for all of those variables. And I think we're traveling nicely in terms of our preparation heading into that. The camp leading up to the tournament will be really important for me to get to know the players that I haven't worked with before or got to know. So, but yeah, really pleased with the balance. I think we've filled a few holes that potentially we've had in previous years with the likes of that experience through the middle. And from a bowling attack, I think we've got a little bit more variety in terms of, where guys are better positioned to bowl. And that's, only time will tell whether they've got that right.
And who do you see as the main rivals to Islamabad United? Obviously, Lahore Qalanders have won the tournament twice the last 2 years. They'll be looking for a hat-trick. They look a pretty formidable squad as well.
Yeah, look, they do. They look a good side. Zelmi, before they had all these issues with their bowlers and unavailability, their bowling looked incredibly threatening. Multan's batting is very strong. I think every side has an area where they're strong, and I guess our job is to try and expose the area that potentially isn't quite as strong. And that's something that I guess we won't do completely until after the replacement draft and we know exactly who we're dealing with. But all that scouting's taken place, and the last month or so we've been trying to find little holes and gaps in pretty much all the sides in terms of how we can expose it. Whether that be with the side makeup that we put out, or the way that we look to attack them. So, yeah, I wouldn't say there's one team that we're looking over our shoulder at, to be honest, and saying, look, they're the ones to beat, because there are. I don't think you can underestimate any of the squads, to be fair.
And finally, Mike, it'd be great to start the PSL or your PSL journey with a victory in this tournament, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course. I think if all 6 of the teams will sit down and they'll try and identify what they're trying to achieve, and we'll be no different. Islamabad United haven't won the tournament, since the 3rd edition, and we're well aware of that. But we're also well aware that we're a highly successful franchise, and one that we want to keep adding to that success, and this year will be no different.
Sorry, Mike. One other thing I was just going to ask you is looking forward to spending some time in Pakistan as well. I know you've been to the country before, but what do you make of the hospitality and Pakistan as a country as well?
Yeah, look, I'm really looking forward to it. I spent some time there at the draft and got to know the group, and got to know a lot of the people in the other squads as well. So I've heard a lot of good things about the country, and I'm actually looking forward to potentially having a bit of a drive around, between cities and getting to see the country, not just the hotels, the airports, and the cricket grounds. So hopefully I get a good chance to enjoy a few restaurants and get to meet a few locals and actually fully embrace the country.
I'm sure you'll have a fantastic time traveling around Pakistan, Mike, and I know you'll do a fantastic job for Islamabad United. I think it's a great acquisition for Islamabad and the PSL to have you as a head coach.
I appreciate that, and enjoyed the chat.
All the best, Mike. Good luck for the future. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you.